I only want to talk about stocks, particular stocks, when there's something going on. Like there's some kind of news or there's like insane price movement, then I got to say something. And another day in Plurilock. Look at this. The stock is up 40%. 40% in one day. Yesterday, I mean, we're talking Monday. Last week, it closed at a little bit over a dollar, and this is Canadian. And now, boom, we're 40% higher. And if you look at the chart, I mean, it's literally parabolic. It is parabolic. So, obviously, people are thinking, is this going to crash? Is this going to continue? I'm not here to tell you one way or another, because I would be lying to you if I knew one way or another. But here's what I do want to point out. Look at this volume. 2.6 million shares in one day. And remember, I made a video today how Brian Cunningham was appointed to the company's advisory board, and he was an advisor to the White House, Palantir, and so that was a huge press release. Now, during this entire time that Plurilock stock keeps going up and up and up, there's a concern. People have concern. Because look at this. It went from closer to 20 cents. Now we're sitting at 144 as of close today. And correctly, some people are pointing out that next month there's an unlock of shares. And here's what I mean. On April 26th, Plurilock announced closing of a private placement financing for $5.5 million. The company raised $5.5 million, mostly at a price of 20 cents, and then there was a few shares at a price of 0.225. So in total, it was like two tranches. The biggest tranche was 22.5 million shares, and then the second tranche was 4.4 million shares. So in total, between the two, it's 27 million shares. So this entire time that the stock price is going up, some people are saying that when the unlock happens, those shares from the private placement, they are locked for a minimum of 4 months. After 4 months, the unlock happens and people can sell those shares. And I say to a minimum because everywhere outside of the United States, the lockup period is 4 months. In the US, it's like 12 months. So not all 27 million will unlock after 4 months, but besides the point, many shares will unlock after 4 months. And if this is April, we're talking August 26th, there's going to be an unlock. So a little bit more than a month from now. And there is going to be 20 million shares that are hugely in the money, big gains, right? It's almost 10x gains because the private placement was at 20 cents, most of it, and now we're at 1.44, so it's almost 10x. Some people will want to share, and that is a concern to some people because, the stock price is going to collapse. But if you look at the volume today, 2.6 million. If this kind of volume is maintained going forward, then the unlock shouldn't be a problem, right? Because 27 million shares, that would take about 10 trading days to clear all those shares, all the possible shares that might want to come in and come into the market, right? So with this kind of volume, the unlock is a non-event. Now, before, in the past, you had, look at this volume. The volume was very low. So if the volume was this low, that would be a huge concern when the unlock happens. But look at what's happening to this volume. It is absolutely exploding. It's exploding, right? So you got to ask yourself a question. Do these people that are buying the stock, do you think they don't know that the online unlock is coming, yet they're still buying? Why? You got to answer this for yourself. Why? I'm not going to do that for you. My point is that the volume is increasing significantly. And Plurilock is getting on more and more people's screens. If you go to stockwatch.com and you scroll down to top 10 lists and you choose TSX Venture, you will see that Plurilock is number two. Number two out of, I think it's like 3,000 stocks that are on TSX Venture, something like that. Plurilock is number two. Number two in terms of percentage gainers. And then when I click on most active, it's still number two, right? So it is getting on people's radar screen. People look at this list. The story is getting out. And again, I'm not telling you what the stock is going to do tomorrow. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. And also, I want to talk a little bit about valuation. So as of now, as of today, at a price of 144, with the current shares that are out, there's going to be more because of, when warrants get exercised. There's going to be more. But at the current market cap of 62 million, we're still trading at less than 1 times revenues. And so logically, where should a company like Plurilock trade? Well, we got to think about the cybersecurity space. And for this, I want to go into this article. Google is nearing a $23 billion deal for cybersecurity startup Wiz. So this is a Wall Street Journal article. Google, if this deal goes through, Google is going to pay 65 times revenues for a startup. 65 times. Plurilock is not even trading at 1 times revenues. And you got to ask yourself a question. Why do these companies want to pay so much money for a cybersecurity company? Because cybersecurity is hot, and it's getting hotter, and it's getting more needed. And with AI, it's getting even more hotter. And if you want to get into the cybersecurity space, you can't start from nothing. You got to acquire. And to acquire clients, it takes, on your own, it takes a long time. So that's why these companies acquire. So the value for a cybersecurity company, you got to look at it a little bit differently than just what does this company generate in revenues. For example, if I have 10 clients and I can sell them ice cream, well, I might show certain revenue and certain profitability profile based on how much ice cream I can sell to those 10 clients. And based on my income statement, that business does not appear to be worth a lot, right? But what if I can sell those same clients instead of ice cream, maybe I can sell them phones, right? More money, right? So now those 10 clients become worth more to me because I can sell them phones. The revenues are going to be higher, and hopefully the gross profit margin are going to be higher. And those 10 clients are worth more. So that's how I think about Plurilock. They have a VAR business, which is a low margin business. It's like selling ice cream. And then they have a critical service business that is higher margin, And then they are now in the process of getting more clients into the critical services business. But out of the 400 clients that they have, only about 10 are on that higher margin business. But now those 400 clients or whatever are worth more than what the $70 million revenue shows, because last year Plurilock had $70 million of revenues. Most of the revenue was low margin revenue, like selling ice cream, right? So if Plurilock could only do VAR business, low margin business, then that business should probably be only valued at 1 to 1.5 times revenues. That's it, right? If there is no upside. Now, we're still, today, after these huge gains, we are still not trading at 1 times revenues. Okay? So fundamentally, there's still more upside, even if they had a VAR business, value added reseller. But we know that Plurilock has critical services, which are higher margin business. So those 400 clients or something, they have more revenue generating power than the 70 million that they did last year, right? So this business should not be trading for only 1 times revenue or 1.5 times revenue, but maybe 3 times revenue, maybe 4 times revenue, right? Logically, because there's room for growth and room to expand revenue base just with the clients that they have, right? But now, that's still talking about Plurilock on its own. How much is Plurilock, or how much is the clientele that Plurilock has worth to somebody else? Because Plurilock can only resell them VAR, right? As of now. And Plurilock can only resell or sell those clients critical services. But somebody else, like, I don't know, CrowdStrike, Palantir, or some other cybersecurity companies, they might have a product that is a huge gross margin product. So it's kind of like Plurilock started off with selling ice cream, into getting into selling cell phones, but now somebody else can sell them cars, not just phones. Somebody else can sell big margin products to Plurilock's clientele. So to somebody else, that clientele is worth a lot more than 2-3 times revenues. It is worth a lot more because somebody else can look at Plurilock and be like, well, I don't care that it's trading for, 2-3 times revenues, because for me, those revenues can be 10 times higher. And not only that, those revenues can be, instead of, 5% revenues for the VAR business or 30 to 50% for critical services, for me, because I have my own product, those margins can be 80, 90%. So now that clientele is worth so much more money for me than it is in Plurilock's hands, right? So if in the business you have to acquire to get into this space, or you have to acquire to expand in that space, when a future acquisition happens, if it happens, then the acquisition price might be so high that for us shareholders of Plurilock, it might be like, man, this doesn't make any sense. Why are they paying so much? Yeah, for us, it might not make sense. But for them, it makes a perfect sense, because they can take this and they can sell it to this amazing clientele that Plurilock has, U.S. Treasury, Navy, U.S. Army, they might not have access to those clients, but by acquiring us for a multiple that doesn't make sense for us, for them, it makes a perfect sense. So could this be why so many people are buying the stock? Because they see what I just said? Maybe, maybe not. But these are my thoughts. And of course, as always, I want to hear your thoughts. Am I thinking right? Or am I crazy? Let me know in the comments below.